Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. Once again, my name is Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent Lagos East Senatorial District. Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues, it will be recalled that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, at its sitting on Thursday, 18 July 2024, read for the second time the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Bill, SB 393, and referred same to the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions for further legislative action. The bill is sponsored by my humble self and all members of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions. On page 1, we have the methodology, which is essentially the conduct of public hearing and also consultation with stakeholders. And of course, we also received a lot of memoranda, which we also considered. On page 2, we have the objectives of the bill, and it is essentially to consolidate the various existing pieces of legislation regulating the conduct of insurance businesses in Nigeria, such as the Insurance Act 2003, the Marine Insurance Act, Motor Vehicles Third-Party Insurance Act, the National Insurance Corporation Act, and the Nigerian Reinsurance Corporation Act as well. Another major objective is also the need for a robust legal and regulatory framework that will ensure that the insurance sector contributes positively to the principal objective of the financial system strategy in order to make Nigeria Africa's financial hub and one of the 20 largest economies in the world. Another objective is the need to evolve effective risk-based supervision in the regulatory system, as the existing rule-based supervision enabled by the current laws have become obsolete. Other key objectives are stated as points 3D to G. On page 3, also, we have the proceedings at the public hearing. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, in the course of the public hearing, stakeholders made far-reaching presentations in support of the passage of the bill. And the general consensus among stakeholders was that the laws regulating the industry are obsolete and they currently stifle the industry's potential to compete globally. They also do not resonate with the current dynamics and evolving needs of the Nigerian insurance industry. All these legislations have surpassed a 2-decade mark, and they lack provisions that can adequately address contemporary challenges and support growth and innovation within the industry. This legal obsolescence has led to some of the regulatory inefficiencies in the insurance industry, and this has also hampered the industry's ability to successfully compete on a global level. Legislative summary. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, it is worthy to state that after the public hearing, the committee painstakingly analyzed the presentations made at the public hearing by some key stakeholders, and some of the summary will include that. On the whole, the inputs made on the proposed bill as recommended by the committee for the approval of the Senate will go a long way in providing a comprehensive legal framework for the regulation and supervision of all manner of insurance businesses in Nigeria in order to ensure that the industry is able to successfully compete on a global level and also improve international competitiveness of Nigeria's insurance industry. Recommendation on page 5. The Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, to which this bill was referred, having favorably considered same which reflect the majority of the memoranda and submissions received from stakeholders and the general public during the public hearing and which are in the attached report, now recommends that the Senate do consider and pass the Nigerian Industry Reform Bill 2024 SB 393. I so move, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues. Thank you very much.
APEC in Square Hall. I happen to be a member of the committee, The chairman, being part and parcel of the industry, has given commendable leadership and insight into the workings of the committee. And what this bill essentially seeks to do is to bring insurance practice and modus operandi in tandem with international best practice as obtained in other jurisdictions. Again, what this bill seeks to do is to bring in consonance with realities of today our insurance laws, because most of our insurance laws are obsolete, are no longer in consonance with the realities of today. And laws are supposed to be dynamic and not static and change with the changing nature of society. So what this bill seeks to do again is to amend our obsolete laws to bring them in tandem with realities of today. I commend the chairman for the hard work that he has been doing, and as I said earlier on, that is the beauty of putting a square peg in a square hole. Thank you.
Okay. I thank all of us for the contributions of members.
35 billion capital base. That's completely out of order. It's 15, sir. Minimum capital base, yes, sir. For insurance company, is 35 billion in Nigeria.
The increase, number one, is not only based on the amount, it is also a combination of the higher of the new amount and the risk, and of course a risk-based component that we have also defined in the Act. Now, if you also recall, I mean, given all of the depreciation that we have had, and in order to project this industry appropriately, there is need, and it was generally agreed, even at the public hearing, that this should be increased. Either to, if you also look at the initial proposal in the bill, it was 45, and the general consensus was that we should reduce it to 35 billion. So even at this 35 billion, my distinguished colleagues, I mean, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, by the time you also do the risk-based evaluation, it can possibly be higher. So this is a general consensus. And of course, it was properly debated at the public hearing, and this was what was agreed. Thank you very much, Mr. President. For non-life is 15. He's not complaining about that. For the life is 10, and the combined, which is the reinsurance business, that is for higher volumes. And if you look at the businesses that they are actually meant to also look after, you are talking of businesses, life, exactly. And of course, if you look at the size of the general industry today, whether it's in the oil sector and all of that, you cannot be, reinsuring businesses in the big economy without also having a very reasonable capital base.
Yes, due respect, and my dear colleagues, even reinsurance, we only have one reinsurance company in Nigeria. And even in this bill that's been proposed, you want reinsurance capital to be 45 billion. All the reinsurance companies like Continental Re had even moved out of the country because the existing law does not allow the regulator to even regulate reinsurance from outside Nigeria to Nigeria. But indigenous, you are asking them to move from 20 billion to 45 billion. This is impossible, Mr. President. And as a matter of fact, 45 billion from 20 billion, which 20% of it will be cash deposited in the central bank forever. Now, I'm looking at the trajectory of growth. My proposal is that, honestly, I think we should retain the existing capital base. The reason being that we cannot just wake up one night and say capital base of insurance company has moved more than 100%. How can you say 45 billion for reinsurance? We have only one. And should that one die, it means Nigeria risk will be reinsured in another country. We don't have two reinsurance companies in this country. The other one, Africa Re, is not bound by this law. Africa Re is not bound by this law. And let me correct the chairman of the committee. The public hearing did not specifically, Mr. President, sir, Mr. President, sir, Just a minute, sir, just a conclusion. The public hearing did not specifically tell the Senate that you should move the capital base to a specific amount of money. It's our discretion. I'm saying this for the interest of our good country. How can you say the insurance should be 45 billion? Life insurance is 15 billion for general business. What is the risk? Why? How? This bill, to me, if it's passed, with due respect, we don't want to have litigation. How can you? We have only 250 million people. Have you only one reinsurance company? And you want that company to move to 45 billion. And the insurance is not so attractive that another person can set up reinsurance. Mr. Senate President, I want us to take a pause so that we don't end the litigation. Thank you.
Our laws, actually, once you pass it, but with the leave of the chair, with the leave of the chair, and of course, with the consent of the chamber, he can reintroduce this subject matter. And I think, in my opinion, this subject matter is very, very important. I wanted to listen. The matters raised by Dr. Jim is germane. I wanted to listen to the chairman behind the reasons of this upliftment of the capital base. Does it tally with the reality of our economy? Does it tally with the aspiration of the people? Or does it tally with the submissions of the practitioners? These are some of the information that will guide this. Because I know, because this is an outcome of a public hearing, some of the submission must have been guided by the public hearing, but not every one of us was at the public hearing. So if we can get the meat of just the reasons behind the raise, I think it will punish the Senate more.
Thank you, Mr. President. Binasiaro Adama South. Mr. President, I'm a member of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, and I participated fully in the public hearing and also in working the final output of this bill. Mr. President, the reasoning for this level of capital that we are proposing in the bill is because of the economic situation we are in. Banks, for instance, international banks are raising their minimum capital to 500 billion. And we know in other jurisdictions, insurance companies actually own banks. So if we don't have fully capitalized insurance companies, then they will not be able to do the business. And talking about reinsurance companies, yes, we may have only one, Nigerian Re and African Re. Inability to have sufficient capital makes them to reinsure their businesses outside of this country. So we need to have, thank you, sir.
I know that distinguished Senator Jimo Ibrahim, my very good friend, is an expert. And I don't share the benefits of that expertise. He is a practitioner of insurance business. But I know as a member of the committee that the committee didn't make this recommendation lightly. And if you look at even the developments in the financial space, even the banks, right now, the share capital has been raised up. To have a regional banking license in Nigeria, all banks are mandated to have a share capital of 50 billion for regional banks in this country. National banking license is, I think, about 500, is it 200 or something? 200 billion. Then international banks, 500 billion. And, you know, I know that banking and this insurance are interrelated. In most climes, Mr. Chairman, and my brother Senator Jimo knows that much more, that insurance companies ought to even be bigger. They ought to be bigger than even banks. Insurance companies actually even own banks because they reinsure banks. So I think that unless there is any, we should go on with this. And if there is a, yes, so I so move.
They are taking this. But I think the people that are going to set this people that have skill and you particularly come from the evaluation there. The evaluation there. And come, you know yourself that I'm not saying I didn't put the insurance, I know insurance, I have insurance, I know. So I think it's to align it's up to the Senate, put it to vote, but the right thing to do is what has been placed by the committee and of course those who are trying. And because even you know that you can frame your amendment, bring your amendment, you can frame it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President, and thank you for being democratic. Even if the amendment doesn't go, it doesn't matter. The important thing is to make sure that it's in record of proceeding so that we can look at the face of the law, interceding with the judiciary, and we'll get a better answer. My amendment is that in view of the fact that subsequent increase in the insurance capital base have been leading to the death of insurance company in Nigeria, and reflective on the economy, I propose that the existing capital base of Nigeria insurance company, which is not even backed up by any law so far, should be retained, rather than going to 45 billion at the time.
Understanding of 76 clause 3, which reads the right by your right hand, 0.25% of the net premium received by every direct insurer on policies issued under section 1 of this section shall be paid by every insurer into a fire services maintenance fund, which shall be established, administered, disbursed by the Commission for the purposes or for the purpose of providing grant or equipment to institutions engaged in firefighting services. Two things, sir. This 0.5% will mean an estimation of what per annum? Section 3, so which you have just read by your right hand, yeah. Right. Secondly, you see the last engaged in firefighting services. We have a federal fire service department. I thought it should be mentioned outright. If you say firefighting services, it means a lot of things. So I thought the fire services department of the federal government should be mentioned, rather than leaving it fluid, and therefore very, very, I don't know. Okay, there is an explanation.
Mentioning the federal fire service here would be inappropriate because fire service is in the concurrent list. And specifically mentioning federal fire service will prevent state fire and local government fire services from interceding or intervening or from being relevant in the task that has been specified under this particular section. So I think the major issue is to say that there should be intervention in this regard with a fire service. If you mention the fire service in the Act, then you are excluding state and local government fire services, who also have a responsibility in controlling fires across the Federation.
How do you share the money?
Yeah, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, is that the insurance industry, they already have a regulator, which is NICOM. So, which is NICOM, that's the overall body, just like the way you have CBN, exactly. So they keep custody of that fund. And that fund is to also actually support all the infrastructure that is also necessary to support motor vehicle accidents and all of that. That is the essence of the fund. So they are the ones, they are the custodians, and they have a mechanism for managing and monitoring that particular fund.
For you to propose an amendment to this, so so I don't go into back and forth in the debate. So what is
With due respect, and my dear colleagues, even reinsurance, we only have one reinsurance company in Nigeria. And even in this bill that's been proposed, you want reinsurance capital to be 45 billion. All the reinsurance companies like Continental Re had even moved out of the country because the existing law does not allow the regulator to even regulate reinsurance from outside Nigeria to Nigeria. But indigenous, you are asking them to move from 20 billion to 45 billion. This is impossible, Mr. President. And as a matter of fact, 45 billion from 20 billion, which 20% of it will be cash deposited in the central bank forever. Now, I'm looking at the trajectory of growth. My proposal is that, honestly, I think we should retain the existing capital base. The reason being that we cannot just wake up one night and say capital base of insurance company has moved more than 100%. How can you say 45 billion for reinsurance? We have only one. And should that one die, it means Nigeria risk will be reinsured in another country. We don't have two reinsurance companies in this country. The other one, Africa Re, is not bound by this law. Africa Re is not bound by this law. And let me correct the chairman of the committee. The public hearing did not specifically, Mr. President, sir, the public, Mr. President, sir, just a minute, sir, just a conclusion. The public hearing did not specifically tell the Senate that you should move the capital base to a specific amount of money. It's our discretion. I'm saying this for the interest of our good country. How can you say the insurance should be 45 billion? Life insurance is 15 billion for general business. What is the risk? Why? How? This bill, to me, if it's passed, with due respect, we don't want to have litigation. How can you? We have only 250 million people. Have you only one reinsurance company? And you want that company to move to 45 billion. And the insurance is not so attractive that another person can set up reinsurance. Mr. Senate President, I want us to take a pause so that we don't have any litigation. Thank you.
3, clause 2. The provision of the bill. No person shall be required to make any form of deposit in respect of a usage of a container to deliver goods from the Nigerian ports to any destination outside the Nigerian ports. Now, look at the intervention here. Clause 2, committee recommendation. No person shall be required to make any form of deposit in respect of a usage of a container to deliver goods from the Nigerian port to any destination within Nigeria. Two things, Mr. Chairman. One, you say no deposit whatsoever. The original bill recommends no deposit for any container from anywhere until you assess it. The committee's recommendation says within Nigeria. The original bill says from anywhere outside Nigeria. So I just want I want the analysis. Yes.
With some awe that there's a total omission on the insurance of private buildings. I don't know whether that is deliberate. It is not there at all. It is an omission that is so important. You cannot talk about amendment of an act. Mr. President, you cannot propose such a major amendment to the insurance laws of Nigeria without talking about private buildings, insurance of private buildings. There are more private buildings in Nigeria than there are of public buildings. And, Mr. President,
Sorry, I can't you are raising an issue that should have come where we're doing the second reading. Now, I am not a member of the committee, so everybody is allowed to come to the meeting. I'm sorry. As I said, the only thing you can do here is when we get to any clause, and have a problem, then you now raise your hand and then seek for an amendment. And Order 79. On the order of the second reading of the bill being read, the question will be that the bill be now read a second time, and the debate may arise covering the general merits and principles of the bill. So, what we are talking about is about the merits of this bill and the general principle. We should have come where we should have brought it during the second reading. Now it's not time for debate. And somebody who are experienced as well, for how to say you don't have to hear about. So if you are ready, we are now on plus 200. If you have reservation 205, you don't move ahead.
Progress.
200.
Progress.
201. 202. 203. Then when the legislative side of government starts to just like we are here, there are a lot of those that whenever we have to be consult to advise. After pass, don't close it. For us to go back, it's a legislative aberration. And sensitive strategy. For that reason, I'm sure you are allowed to move on. Okay. You can move on. Thank you very much. Thank you. I know you said so. I know you said so. Thank you.
And it is also to make it very functional and very practical. Because when you say outside of Nigeria, you know, it's almost very wide. But within Nigeria, I think the essence of the law is to see what is possible and practical. That's the whole essence. But if you want us to retain the old one, fine. But the consensus at the committee level was it should be within Nigeria. That's my
detail. We can trust the judgment or discretion of a minister of the Federal Republic. I know that there could be abuses, but every person who is a minister of the Interior, knowing that in implementing this, you have to take account of what Senator Abdullahi Yahya said, that fire service is in the concurrent list. Therefore, it's a matter that states are dealing with, the Federation is dealing with, and possibly even local councils, even though I don't think any local government has a fire service right now, but they could have. So I thought that if we leave that discretion with a minister, the minister can now draw up a regulation as to how that fund should go and the proportion it should go. I thought we should do so. Chairman and my dear colleagues. Chairman and my dear colleagues, I'm sorry I'll be taking us back slightly, but it's not for any bad reason. Well, this is the most important stage of lawmaking, so we need to get it right. In talking about the capital, we didn't make any provision for what should happen in the interim. But if we say the capital should be like this, what should happen? What time frame? I thought we didn't, that escaped our mind. I don't know if Chairman will guide us to see whether there is any provision that will deal with that. Well, the moment this is assented to, if we don't add that subsection, if we don't add that clause, it will mean that.
Approach this issue. It's a very important matter. Therefore, it's very important for us to clarify it. Right now, I don't know whether Distribution Center Adams Oshomole is there. Yeah, the Committee of the Interior is trying to amend the Federal Fire Service Act. Okay. And that legislation is going to soon come to this chamber. I think the issue that is there is to give the Federal Fire Service, because it's the fire service in the concurrent list. Any legislation which has been made here will cover the field. So the major issue now before us is to ensure that the regulatory powers, when we come to do the debate, the regulatory powers of the fire service matter is in that act. so that in the process of regulation, what is here now can go as it is really, because it has provided that there is money that is coming before the NICOM, and then we made an amendment to ensure that that resources will go to the federal, to the minister regulating federal fire service, and he should know better how to distribute the funds among all the operators of fire services in the country.
The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions on the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Bill 2024 and approved as follows. Loan titles are recommended. Clauses 1 to 75 as recommended. Clause 76 are recommended. Clause 77 to 230 as recommended. Interpretation, Clause 231 as recommended. Short title, Clause 22 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. This is a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Leader of the Senate. A bill for an act to repeal the Insurance Act, Cap 117, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the Marine Insurance Act, Cap M3, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the Motor Vehicles Third Party Insurance Act, Cap M22, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the National Insurance Corporation of Nigeria Act, Cap 54N, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the Nigerian Reinsurance Corporation Act, Cap N131, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for a comprehensive legal and regulatory framework for insurance business in Nigeria and for related matters 2024. Third reading taken and passed. I commend the chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking and Insurance, Senator Adito Kombo Abiru, Baba Adini, and members of his committee for a job well done. This act, when we have the concurrence by the House of Representatives and subsequently the assent of Mr. President, the law will really help in reshaping our economy for the better. All over, whatever that has to do with any economy is dynamic. Life changes at all time. Economies change at all time. It's therefore incumbent on the authorities of every nation to recraft their legislations to go in tandem with contemporary realities. And this is what has been done by the passage of this legislation. The intent is to restructure the entire ecosystem, insurance ecosystem, in a way that it will go in tandem with contemporary happenings within our economy. A lot of industry have been put to this. The chairman of the committee and indeed membership of the committee are people of outstanding pedigree who are really educated, knowledgeable about the insurance industry. And so they put their best, and I'm sure the country will benefit from it, when the law is eventually passed. Thank you very much. More grace to your elbows. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President,